What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Casual Corner. This is your boy DJ, and I know it's been taking me quite some time to get to this, but I'm finally gonna be able to do my review of the DLC for Elden Ring. You know, the Shadow of the ERDTREE. It took me a minute because I had other games I needed to deal with, and other things outside the game I had to take care of, but all in all, I was finally able to finish the DLC, at least the main part. I made sure to complete all the main bosses, like from beginning to end. Even spoiler, this is gonna have spoilers in it, so if you haven't played the DLC or finished it, you can click away, go find something else to do. But like for the last boss, I want to wait till I've found out the last bosses and beat them, which is fighting Radon again, and of course I have some feelings about that too, as well, but we'll get into that later on. But all in all, I'm gonna say my overall impression of the DLC was middle of the road, room for improvement. It could have been better, right? Especially with the time that it took for the game to get to us, which is 2 years. That's kind of like my biggest gripe. Like, even with all the stuff, everything said and done, it still took 2 years for this DLC to come out, and because of my past experience with FromSoft games, especially Dark Souls 3, which is gonna be like the main comparison here. For what we got, I mean, and I'm not gonna act like I know what goes on behind the scene when making games and stuff like that, but for what we got, it didn't seem like it. 2 years was it should have been more, I guess I'm saying. But that's not to say there weren't any good things about the DLC. There definitely was some good stuff, but there was also bad. Well, at least, and keep in mind, this is my opinion. So there's no need to go crazy about that. Everybody has their opinions on everything. You may like it, you may not, but at the end of the day, it's my opinion, and that's how it is. But yeah, the way I'll do it, I'll go over the pros, the things I liked first, and then I'll finish it off with the cons or things I don't like. So get right into it. Pros. The game is beautiful, right? Set pieces, world building, lore, all that stuff is immaculate. Like, when it comes to FromSoft, that is like their bread and butter. They're very good when it comes to setting up that world for you to get lost in. You know what I'm saying? So that stuff, it ate it up. I loved all that. Some of the NPC characters you meet along the way, side story, their side quests and conversation, all that stuff in between, that stuff was good too. What else is there? Oh, and of course, the good stuff, the stuff that I like the most, everybody wants to know, is the weapons. Weapons, the abilities, magic spells, all that good shit, right? So I think the centerpiece for this DLC, when it comes to like content, was the light greatsword, which is a new weapon class you get, and you could tell that they put a lot of work into it, because not only I think there's like 3 or 4 of them in the game on DLC that you get, but the move set that comes with it is very dynamic, unique. It feels good. It's not like all the other move sets attached to some of these other weapons in the game, where it's just heavy swing left, a real heavy swing right, or just bland, boring, right? The light greatsword, not only is it a cool weapon design, cool weapon class, but the moveset associated with it is fun. You feel strong, it feels unique, it like made you want to play the game more. It was fun. I like that. And I wish they did that a little bit more with some of the other weapons, but that's fine. You also got some other new weapons like the hand to hand martial arts weapons, the dry leaf arts, and then you get another one later on from an NPC called Dane, his footwork one, which is better because it, as the name implies, it uses his feet kicks and stuff. So that I got both of them. That was fun too. Then you got the Smith script weapons, basically yes, a couple weapons that you can throw. So you get a hammer, spear, throwing knives, all and these things with Smith script in the name. When you use this heavy attack, it throws the weapon. So that's pretty dope. I thought that was cool too. Along with some other spells and things of that nature. It had the content was there with that. But I would say, let's say here, you could tell some weapons got more love than others. For instance, when you after you beat Mesmer, you get his weapon, and his weapon was basically a mashup of everything. His weapon art was pretty fucking cool, strong. It was actually, and it's actually split. It looked like it was split into three parts, because based on the way you fight in Elden Ring, some bosses don't stagger easily, so they know that you don't want to get stuck in the weapon art. So the way it starts, you do a fiery slash at first, and then you can press it again, and it'll go into another one. Or you can just leave off after that slash and just reposition and get out the way just in case the enemy is attacking again. And also on top of that, its heavy attack is a explosive throw, which is cool. And I wish the other weapons, other like all boss weapons, function like that in the game. Like Rolana's her light greatsword, which makes it like you get like a dual stance with hers. It was pretty dope. But I just wish going forward, I don't know if they'll do it this in hindsight, but I feel like all boss weapons, along with their weapon arts and stuff, their actual regular basic move set should be pretty dynamic too. And this, like I said, based after getting a hold of the light greatsword weapon class, or it's like when you look at every other weapon class in the game, it's like it's boring, right? But that could just be me. And keep in mind, I played other Souls-like games too, and to me, my favorite one, not even a From Soft game either, is Team Ninja. Neo, the Neo franchise, they're very good at combat and stuff. A lot of cool ass weapons, and especially Neo too. But coming after I figured out about that game, coming back every other From Soft game, if the combat, it just makes me miss the combat of Neo too. But off the topic, but I'll say like when it came to the world building lore, all that good stuff, that's the good stuff about Elden Ring. But then there's the bad. Like I would say, like I said earlier, the final boss, like this is my biggest one. When I found out that the boss was Radahn again, yeah, it's a different variation of Radahn, but the fact that it's Radahn, that was kind of lame to me. I'm like I said, this 2 years in the making, 2 years of waiting for this, just to fight a version of a boss that's already in the game. Instead of him being on a horse, the back of a horse, he's actually just walking around on his own this time. I'm like, I was expecting something more like, Mikla does join the fight during the second half, but he kind of like, if you play Dark Souls 3, when you fight that brother, that duo, where you had that one guy with the brother that's crawling on the ground and his brother's on his back the whole time, and they're teleporting around. I forget the name of that boss, but yeah, it reminded me of that fight, but way, way harder, right? So, but I was expecting something like we face Mikola himself, especially with the lore implying that Mikkel is this great swordsman, and then on top of that being a demigod or ascension to godhood, the way they played the lore out, I was hoping something like Mikela, but like if you're familiar with the Berserk anime manga, there's a character by the name of Griffith, and I was thinking something more along the lines of like that. You know, we're fighting like Griffith, like a strong ass crazy Griffith type dude. But I mean, that's just me, and that's how that went. But the put the salt in the wound here. When you beat this boss, beat him, the rewards for the boss is you get the great swords. But here's the thing about this. I looked at it, and the great swords are basically, yeah, they look slightly different, but they're pretty much the same reward you get from fighting Radahn in the game. The Star Scourge great swords, right? Same move set as those swords. Everything. The only thing that's different is the weapon art that's attached. You get two different versions of it. You get the Lord one and the other one, and they both have two different weapon arts. One's better than the other, clearly, and you also get a spell. But even though I just didn't like the idea that we got the same weapon again with a different weapon art. I'm like, 2 years and we get the same exact weapon again, that with a slightly different look, same move set, of course, because it's the same weapon class, with a different weapon art attached. I'm like, if that's the case, you could just gave us the weapon art and made it interchangeable with Star Scourge greatswords or whatever. But you just gave us the same weapon again, and I didn't really like that too much. Especially after fighting all those other bosses and getting things like Mesmer's, the Impeller's Spear, and R'Lana's light greatsword weapon. To end up getting a boss weapon like that, the final boss that is, it didn't really make sense to me. I didn't like that too much. It was kind of lame. But yeah, that's not the tip of it though. Also, some of the bosses, not all, but I would say I could name at least 4 on my mind that I don't know. Maybe like when the developers and everybody were making this DLC, I guess one of the ideas, especially when they implemented the feature of the ERDTREE fragments, about, you know, making the game fresh and challenging even for people that are like not new, you know, trying to make it still challenging for people like over leveled or something like that. I don't know. I always thought the reward for getting strong in these games is being able to get super strong and not, I mean, you're still gonna have a hard time, but not have as hard of a time, you know, because like I said in Dark Souls 3, yeah, even though my dude was leveled pretty high up by the time the DLC came out with Sister Freed, and then following that Slave Knight Gale, I was pretty strong, but those bosses were still challenging. But yet, they didn't have no feature that made me feel like I was like level 1 again. You know what I'm saying? That's basically what the feature of ERDTREE fragments. Wasn't really feeling that too much. I think it just trying to make the game, they're doing too much, making the game harder for no reason. It's already hard enough. Like, this isn't Sekiro, or this is Elden Ring. From Soft Souls, like for casuals, I guess, for lack of a better term. So no need to try to change it up now after you done made the game easier. It's like, that's weird to me. You already made the game easy enough. Why would you try to take it back, you know? But a couple of these bosses, they felt slightly unfair due to things like maybe the boss is overly aggressive with a lot of different AoE moves with very minimal time in between their attacks to get a hit in. Consort Radahn, that that was his main thing. This dude, he just does way too much during that fight. I don't know what it was. All those different attacks, and then it's hard to get away from him, and some of them, the timing for them is really fast. You don't get a chance to breathe. He's already hard enough as is. On top of having an overly aggressive AI, I don't know what they were thinking about that. But there were other bosses. I don't know if they were bugged or maybe hitboxes were weird. This is like Commander Gaius, for example. When he does his little charge attack, I don't know if I'm dodging incorrectly or there's just some weird funkiness going on there. But you're not getting away from it. I didn't understand if I thought I was dodging the right way. There have been times it seemed really inconsistent to me. Like I'm trying to dodge. Sometimes I got out the way. Yeah, other times I did not. And it's just like, I don't get it. This boss is weird, and his hitboxes or hurt boxes all over the place. Not maybe just he's like really fast for his size. I don't know. I mean, you could ride your horse during the fight too, but as we all know that we've been playing the game, when you fight against bosses like that are on you constantly and you get staggered off your horse, you're pretty much giving the boss a free second hit, because when you get knocked off your horse, you fall on the ground, you lay there for like a couple seconds, then you slowly get back up, and of course during that whole time you're free to another attack, and you could probably, it's like a death sentence. So it's best not to be on your horse during that fight unless you know some weird glitchy stuff where I've seen some people use the animation of getting on and off the horse as a way to bypass, like invincibility frames, I guess. But I wouldn't rely on that if you're a casual player. Yeah. So but then you have other bosses, which goes back to my first thing with the over aggressive AI. But like the putrescent knight, like I didn't know what it was about that boss. He just would not stop. There were times he did stop, or it seemed like he stopped, but then his horse would attack you too, or something. It was something or another. Those bosses. Oh, and of course Valana, like she wasn't. I would say out of the four, she was the the opener, right? To all of that, like her attack, she got like 5 to 10 hit combos. You never know when the attack's gonna end, and it's just crazy as fuck. Like I thought the dance line was a little bit rough, but nah, she was the true. I saw people saying that she's like she was harder than Melania, I guess. I don't know. She for what, at least for me anyways, I put like into perspective, it took me 3 tries to beat Melania. And of course I'm not talking like a challenge run where I didn't use summons and stuff. Now I use my summons and shit. But it took me 3 tries to take her down. But Valana, it took like 8 to 10. Like I mean, yeah, her attacks were. She was all over. She wouldn't stop. When I thought she was done, nope. She's still going. She's still going. But after fighting her, it kind of every other boss after that kind of was like that. So I guess that's kind of like what she was. She was the gatekeeper, for lack of a better term, right? So yeah, but I don't think they needed to make on top of having the scatter tree fragment system. They didn't need to also make the bosses super aggressive like that or crazy with their attacks. It was either one or the other. You can't do both. Like I thought that was kind of weird about that they did it that way. But when it comes to cons, I think that's all that was. Now that I think about it, wasn't that too many cons? It just, I don't know. I was, like I said before, I was expecting more due to how long we had to wait. And I have to tell you though that when I found out not only with the Radon thing but the rewards for beating him, I was left kind of a bitter taste in my mouth with that. And I was like, yeah, now that I done beat it, I don't know if I'm gonna continue. Like I haven't gotten everything, but I don't think I want to go back and get everything just due to the fact that like So I mean, I know other people probably liked it, but for me, it was mid. I guess that's the term these days, mid. It was mid for me. Now, little extra here, like I mentioned earlier, talking about the Neo franchise. Like I said, FromSoft, when it comes to world building, they definitely got that, and world building, lore, and all that stuff like that, and set pieces. They got that shit in the bag, man. They're very good with that shit, right? Beautiful world, landscapes, stories on point, all that shit. They got that. I mean, they should. They've been doing that shit for years, so that shit was nice. But I would have to say, when it comes to combat and stuff like that, they're not quite there yet. But you know who is there? Team Ninja. And Team Ninja is like the opposite of them. When it comes to world building and stuff like that, they're not as good as FromSoft is, but what they do excel at is combat. And like I said, when it going to the Neo games, like Neo 2 especially, the combat and the weapons and stuff in that game, bam. Like, even if you don't even have to care about the story. Like, I somewhat understood the story, and you get to see the dude from the first one there if you played the first one, but all I really cared about was combat. Combat was dope as fuck. The weapons were tight as shit. The abilities, everything. I still play that game now on the PlayStation. It's still dope. I wish they would bring it over, or I wouldn't say bring it over. That's what I was expecting when Wo Long came on to, when Wo Long released, but Wo Long was a letdown. It was pretty much disappointing. A watered down Neo, right? And that game was boring as fuck. I don't know what happened there, but maybe that game is like that because they was working on Rise of the Ronin at the same time. And I haven't played Rise of the Ronin, but from what I've heard, it's supposed to be like an open world samurai piece or whatever. The no supernatural stuff whatsoever. Like, apparently the combat, of course, is good, but they said the open world is kind of lacking. Of course, like I said, that's one of their things, is like the world building stuff. That's not like in their comfort zone. The combat surely is. So I was hoping maybe one of these days down the road, maybe From Software and Team Ninja could do a collabo and work on a game. Maybe workshop something up, get together and do fusion, make one of the best fucking Souls-like games ever made. And that would be, and hopefully it's really, really good, because like I said, they both have their strong points, and I feel like if they both bring what they're good at and merge, they will make the best game ever. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the Elden Ring Shadow of the ERDTREE DLC. I should be making another review here soon. Next game I plan on reviewing is going to be that Dragon Ball Sparking. I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. And Dragon Ball Sparking Zero's basically they're bringing back the old Budokai Tenkaichi games, and I own number 2 and 3. 3 being the best Dragon Ball game of all time. Every character has their right transformations, attacks, all that shit. Like, Xenoverse failed at that, and then you got these other games like that Dragon Ball Fighters. They both failed at that, and those games weren't. They're Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Fighter. Dragon Ball Fighters is a Dragon Ball game in name only. That game was actually not meant for people. It meant mostly for Marvel vs. Capcom fans, FGC guys. But I'm getting too much off topic. But yeah, like I said, that's my review of Elden Ring Shadow of ERDTREE DLC. And if you like what you're getting from me, remember to subscribe, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Okay, peace.